You are in a weekly status meeting. An employee, clearly stressed, slams a closed folder onto the table. When timelines shift and tension spikes, the natural response for managers is to focus entirely on the logistical complaints. You hear the facts about missed deadlines or budget cuts, but completely miss the underlying frustration driving the reaction. In the next 5 minutes, we are going to build a specific, actionable conversational sequence called a reflective listening response. This technique performs two functions simultaneously. It proves to the employee that their perspective is fully understood, and it stops you from accidentally inheriting their workload. Before we begin, select one upcoming or recent difficult conversation on your calendar. Keep that specific scenario in mind as your practice template for the steps ahead. Step 1 requires identifying your default reaction. When faced with emotional pushback, a leader's immediate instinct is to instantly correct factual inaccuracies. This is the fix-it reflex. It acts as the primary psychological barrier blocking effective communication during a dispute. When you correct a minor detail during an emotional spike, the focus shifts from the employee's concern to the accuracy of the data. This pivot to accuracy often triggers a second layer of frustration, intensifying the original conflict. To interrupt that reflex, you need a pre-planned conversational anchor. The moment tension rises, default to this exact phrase: "Let me make sure I'm understanding before I respond." Deploying this sentence triggers a mechanical pause. It buys you the seconds needed to process the information and forces the frustrated colleague to momentarily stop talking and listen. Suspending the urge to correct the record functions as a calculated tactical maneuver. It lowers the room's temperature and creates the necessary space for problem-solving to begin. Here we see the architecture of the response. It relies on a sequential 3-part formula: fact, feeling, and check. We start with the fact. This requires stating the objective, neutral event that just occurred, stripping away any personal judgments. For example, you neutrally observe, "It sounds like the timeline changed quickly." Next is the feeling. This step requires you to explicitly identify and label the emotion you observe in your colleague. You attach that emotion directly to the fact, and that left you frustrated. Finally, the check. This creates a loop by asking for verbal confirmation to ensure your assessment aligns with their reality. You end the sequence simply, "Is that right?" Let's apply this to a different scenario. Notice the distinct components here. "You were expecting more clarity" serves as the fact, while "and now you're feeling stuck" covers both the feeling and the check. It also works for complex procedural disputes. You can clarify the root issue by asking, "So the issue is not the task, but how the decision was made." Because the sequence relies on observation rather than resolution, it serves as an adaptable framework that scales to fit any interpersonal conflict. By balancing objective reality with empathetic validation, the formula creates a conversational bridge. It disarms defensive posturing without conceding logistical ground. This diagram shows a heavy vertical boundary line between the manager and the employee. We have to clearly establish the operational difference between validating an emotion and absorbing someone else's workload. Many leaders avoid reflective listening entirely because they falsely equate acknowledging a complaint with agreeing to do the work. But watch what happens when you state the feeling component. Validating the emotion neutralizes the employee's internal spike, bringing their stress level down, all without altering their actual task requirements. The check question then acts as a defensive perimeter for your own bandwidth. Asking, "Is that right?" confirms their experience, but firmly leaves the responsibility for the next step squarely in their domain. Once an employee feels completely heard, they regain the capacity to solve their own problem. You shift from being a constant tactical fixer into a strategic facilitator. You now have a custom 3-part conversational sequence built to immediately de-escalate tension. Think back to the upcoming difficult conversation you selected earlier. Deploy this exact fact, feeling, and check sequence at least once during that discussion. When you do, watch for 2 specific outcomes: an instant reduction in the other person's argumentative tone and the simultaneous establishment of mutual trust. Structured reflection allows you to guide the team toward their own solutions. Proving a leader's value lies in facilitating clarity, not providing every answer.